It might surprise you to think that you can choose between grapefruit, apricots, or raisins when making a sweet wine. Well, you can, and you can do it consistently if you know a little bit about the process that drives these, let's say, essential characters in the different types of sweet wine. So in front of us, we have a beautiful selection of an ice wine from the Czech Republic made from the Riesling grape, a Sauternes, which is a dedicated wine region within Bordeaux. It's made from Semillon and Sauvignon Blanc, and here grapes are covered in a mold called botrytis. And botrytis, when it's grown under healthy conditions and it doesn't break the skin of the berry, actually has the effect of concentrating the berry, sucking out the water and concentrating not only the sugar, but also the flavor and the acidity as well, making very long-lived wines. And we have another Czech wine. This time it's a straw wine. Now with straw wines, you pick the healthy, ripe grapes, but then you lay them on straw mats or in lofts within the building itself for 4 to 5 months. You might lose up to half the volume, but you get this kind of raisin character from the process itself. So let's try, shall we? Let's start with the Znovin Znomo ice wine from Riesling. And it's really quite distinctive, this lifted grapefruit and citrus aroma, which is partly the variety, because Riesling also does give you that citrus character, but is also partly the method as well, where the grapes are frozen on the vine. They go to the winery where they're pressed, and the ice crystals within the grapes float to the top, and the rich concentrated wine is drawn off, and you are left with ice. So you're concentrating the juice before you actually start fermenting the wine. There's a word in the wine vocabulary known as tension. I don't know if as a child you played the game tug of war, where you have two groups of kids or students at either end of a long rope and you're pulling against each other. I kind of get this tug of war or this tension in my mouth between the sweetness and the acidity of this wine. And it's a beautiful effect, this sweet and sour sensation, which is very, very typical of ice wine. And watch out for the Czech ice wines especially. Some of their best wines are ice wines, but of course you can get them from Austria, Germany, Canada, and so on. Okay, the Sauternes from Bordeaux. The dried apricot character is quite pronounced here, and that is because the botrytis mold specifically imparts that character to the wine. And there is a sense of body in Sauternes, whereas the ice wine, you would say it has a kind of linear structure. The character is based on the sweet and sour. This has less acidity generally, so it has a kind of rounder, creamier and richer texture. Very nice. And the typical character is this dried apricot from the botrytis. And we finish with the Somberg Palava straw wine, so where the grapes are dried on straw mats for 4 to 5 months, and you tend to get a raisined character. Now here it's a little bit interesting because Palava itself is a very aromatic grape variety. I always get lychees and rose petals from the Palava variety itself. On top of that, I'm getting this kind of raisined character. So this is a very complex, very floral, very impressive bouquet, but the raisin character is there. And it's even more pronounced in the mouth. The word I like to use, and that's viscous. There's a certain concentration of sugar which gives the wine viscosity, which is that resistance to flow. It's kind of like the texture of honey almost. and it's beautiful and will reward cellaring for a very long time. So just to recap, we have 3 basic processes for making sweet wine. Ice wine tends to give you that sweet and sour with grapefruit character. Botrytis-based grapes, such as Sauterne and Tokai in Hungary, give you that kind of dried apricot character, which is typical of the botrytis mold itself. And finally, the straw wine imparts this kind of raisin character to the wines. All of these examples are capable of long aging and a lot of pleasure. I always find the richness and the concentration of sweet wines to be something really, really impressive. So if sweet wine is not your thing, maybe choose an occasion when you have a big dinner party and you can split the bottle between enough people so you can just get a taste, and you will really, really enjoy this rich, pleasant and fascinating type of wine.